Hello, people of the world of the internet watching videos that have to do with automobiles. Welcome to this. My 1974 RA21 Toyota Celica ST, powered by the V8 out of my dad's old Toyota Tundra. If you're new and you missed out on the previous video where I worked on this thing, up above my head is either a link to that video or it could be a petition to sign up with the penguins in the resistance against Skynet. Inside this package is a brand new reproduction OEM fluid reservoir. This right here was the OEM original washer fluid reservoir with pump. However, never in my life have I ever used the washer fluid to clean my windshield other than if I was in a snowy environment driving the winter or off-roading with a truck in the mud. Neither which of those conditions will this windshield, which is the original glass from 1974, will ever see. So my thought is to use the original washer fluid mounting location as a coolant reservoir, except for one problem. I don't think this new bottle will fit on the original bracket with the hood closed. Or maybe it will. That's amazing. It actually does clear because the little bulge right here for the vent. Perfect thing about this location is the overflow can go right out by the antenna. Perfect. The vent tube for the reservoir goes out this hole right here, which goes down the same passageway as the antenna and has a natural drain down here at the bottom. That's taken care of. What you see right here is the remaining items that must be accomplished in order for that car to be drivable, and subsequently this will essentially finish 99% of the entire project. Well, 98%. This is another 1% right here, the final assembly of trim and polish and detail. Master blaster. This is my mini brake booster. I feel like that should have a gasket. Shapes. 85 millimeter by 140 straight edge. It'd be really easy for water to ingress in that area and then get your feet wet. Or if it ever leaked, brake fluid. Hopefully it doesn't happen because then RIP your paint job. Whoever said paying attention in art class wouldn't pay off. Math is just for people that suck at art. Now the inner dimensions. What's the biggest socket I have? Kind of center it. Cut. If this gasket actually looks somewhat professional after all that guessing and just eyeballing it, I'm gonna be amazed. That's pretty good guesswork. This is a crude way of doing it, but I can straighten that out with a ruler. 82 by 62. That's perfect. Yeah, that's pretty good for guesswork. And just like that, I have a gasket. So I need the booster to fit over this harness. That works perfectly. Literally perfect. I am so lucky right there. Okay, that can now go back in its home. I don't have the clevis for that master cylinder to attach to the Hootenheiser on the pedal. Ow! I can't see, my hair is my face. Oh, that feels great on my spine. I love that. The shaft is way bigger on that one. This booster is for a Land Cruiser, so the shaft is a lot beefier. So you can see that's the diameter of the brake booster shaft. And this is the one from the Celica. M6 to M8 maybe is the difference. It's just a captured nut is all it is really. Oh, I got the keys in my eyeball. I like that. It's my favorite. The easiest and smartest thing to do instead of trying to reinvent the wheel or fabricate a new clevis from scratch would just be to order one for a Toyota Land Cruiser. All right, brake booster is mounted. Hello, welcome to the following day. Got a little bit of a robot snack here. It's a critical part I've been needing to finish this up. OEM original, you can see it's all dry rotted and brittle, and a new replacement one. That's way more pliable. Honestly, I probably could have used the original one in a pinch, but there's no point because this was available. I got various different sizes of heater pipe. I'm gonna try this long one. I think the long one might be excessive, but all right. I mean, oh, that one's really long. I might be able to use one of the original heater pipes. No. 9 inches, 23 mil. I also have 2 threaded spots right here on the firewall in between these 2 heater pipes. So I could run a straight pipe and then just put little elbows on either side, but I'd rather not do that. part required. I summoned an angel food cake to do a parts run for me, and whilst I'm waiting, at least I don't have to make this go very far. Give myself a little bit extra to make a Ric Flair. All right, now bend it up. Okay. Looks okay where I'm bending it. I hope that's right. That's pretty good right there. Please don't bend it wrong. I need my cutter, not the country, but the slicey one. Now for the vertical. I'm gonna be really sad if I cut this too short and have to make this whole thing all over again.
And that is what we call foreshadowing.
And verdict says perfect length. I hear a crew cab Mustang. That was fast. That's all kinds of shapes.
45-degree bend, 9-inch straight with a 90-degree end. Takes care of 2. We needed an elbow, damn near perfect. And this one's the one that may work.
The hard pipe under the dash? Yeah. The variable I forgot about. My manifold blocks are huge and there's not enough meat to be able to get a flare on there. And I don't want to make my bend that much taller because it'll look ugly. What I thought was going to be a difficult problem, Angel pretty much saved the day by finding all these. So now, the factory heater core lines had nice soft foam insulation over them, which not only protects them, but also just so you don't burn your toes or something. Oh yeah, I forgot, this stuff is super, super thick, and I'm probably gonna go through an entire battery trying to do this. I spoke too soon. All right, that's ridiculous. External combustion engine for the win. That didn't make any sense whatsoever. Put 2 of them, just for good measure. That's getting hot through my gloves. Yep, there goes my fingerprints. Motherfucker. Now the portion that is under the dash is coated just like the factory ones were. I gotta put them through backwards, so this is gonna be not enjoyable. Ouch, I think that works. Had I been an intelligent particular individual, I probably would have rebuilt the heater core before sticking it back under the dash. But it worked before and didn't leak, so. This area is super challenging because this little mechanism moves back and forth right here, which would tear a hose over time, and the spring every time you open and close the hood. Part number attached. Just like the factory, I'm gonna put some of this robot snake skin on there. That's a protectant. I made it a hair too long. Wire routing is critical, and currently I have the starter power cable on the other side of my knock sensor wires, which that's not no feng shui. Wait, did I do dumb shape things? This is currently the boot that was protecting the power cable coming from the rear mounted battery by the firewall. And because I have 2 fuel lines and brake line and a clutch line all going right past that area, I want to make sure it's better protected. This is a good bit larger and should completely cover any positive battery areas. Also, side note, at this camera angle, you can really see the dark green undertones in the color of this paint, which is hard to see typically on camera. I'd imagine that from the factory, Toyota would absolutely use clamps. I should do it. I would say that's much better. It's double protected now, so that way there's no chance anything metal can touch that terminal. If you've also had more aircraft maintenance wire chafing safety videos pushed into your brain than you can possibly count during Mission O's, then you will find the appreciation of what I'm about to do. Because these fuel lines run so close to one another, there's a high probability that how the hell am I gonna get that hot? Oh, it's not nearly as hard as I thought it was gonna be. That's gonna piss all over the place. That's a sentence that could be taken out of context. Just so I want fuel all over the line that I need to take a torch to.
My shop smelled like fuel for the next 3 days.
Let that air out. Just FYI, this is a brand new piece of heat shrink. I'm not gonna try to set myself on fire today. Hopefully not. This just has bad idea written all over it. Huh? Yeah, catching on fire isn't really on my to-do list today, so I'm just gonna take the fuel line off of the car and I'm gonna get wet. Should probably drain the fuel in this tank anyway. Are you kidding me? It's empty. I can assure you this fuel line is now free of fuel thanks to centrifugal force. Just to be safe, I'm gonna put a fresh pair of gloves on.
Fire? You remember when I put an M80 in Mr. Anderson's mailbox and it started a big fire?
Now that I've successfully not caught fire. Okay, that's nice and tight.
Yeah, that first one was just a warm-up.
At least I know that the fuel tank is drained of any old fuel. This can now happen. I think that's on there enough. You want to talk about tight tolerances? Look at the gap between the nut right here for the TVIS actuator, the hose, and then the gap underneath right here for the spring. Nothing touches, but geez.
Shrouded in secrecy for years, the stealth bomber will soon be introduced to the public.
It's the following day, and this is now back from powder coating, the missing piece to finishing the nose of the car. Man, this is not easy to orient. That goes in there. Got it. That is so close quarters down in there. I have no idea how I'm even gonna get these oil cooler lines through here. I gotta keep reminding myself that if sticking a 2UZ in a first gen Celica was easy, everyone would do it. It's all attached. Give you a kind of an idea of what's going on. This is the bumper bracket for the front bumper where I attached the oil filter housing bracket. And then the fuse box is right here, and you can see the harness wrapping around behind it, leaving me all the room right here in the middle for these two lines for the oil cooler. Then come out this big square opening by the bumper bracket in the front core support where the lines will be then hidden behind the chrome portion of the bumper right here, and all you'll see is the oil cooler itself in front of the radiator. Ugh. Engine oil and tape combined makes a gooey mess. It's a little bit of a redundancy. This fuse is solely just protecting the wire going to the fuse box on the other side of the engine bay. When I made this, I didn't have the right amperage rating of fuse, and I stuck a temporary one in here. Careful. How am I gonna do a fan spacer, shroud spacer, whatever? What do I even make this out of? It closes. That is just pushing it right there. That radiator cap is right at the limit. Hello and welcome to the next day. Package arrived. That's here, that's here. A plug. I can finally finish this up, that's good. This is an air intake temp sensor, which I needed for the soon-to-be air intake pipe. As well as this guy right here. No, it doesn't fit. How? This was supposed to thread into the second port on my water jacket to be able to thread in a sensor for the gauge for the sender. So it's probably metric, which means it's probably an M10 by 1.0. Well, I don't know. M10 by 1.0 is not threading either. Is it an M9? No. Is it 10 by 1.25? It's not 10 by 1. What? What the hell? Nothing fits. I don't understand how this is the wrong thread. So these have the exact same thread pitch. This is 1/8 inch NPT. They match, same thread pitch. This is a fraction of a millimeter smaller at the tip. This is an 1/8 inch NPT tap, and it threads perfect. All right, it is 100% 1/8 inch NPT. Cross-referencing the Toyota part number for the actual Toyota sensor, it says that it's 1/8 inch NPT. So this is just barely machined incorrectly. And I spent extra money to get a good quality billet made in America one, and it's wrong. Luckily, I have an 1/8 inch 27 NPT die, so I should be able to just barely clean this up. Carefully, soft metal here. The amount of material I've had to remove from this thing is ridiculous. I might as well have just bought a 99-cent one from Temu. I don't know if this is gonna work anymore. Might have had better results had I had a better quality tap and die set, but it threads. I'm using the sensor for the 18RC, the original engine, so it matches the gauge, but trying to fabricate a spacer for this is just gonna result in a sloppy mess that has lots of air leaks. This is the only solution. Here's a quick crude drawing. The engine's right here. The hood, the curvature and the slope is important. And here's your front bumper, the chin spoiler, headlight. The radiator core support is right here. Now, the radiator has to be mounted at an angle so that way it clears the slope of the hood, as well as it has to give room for the harmonic balancer on the bottom of the engine. The driver's side fan has to overhang by about an inch past the core support in order to clear all of the pulleys on the front of the engine, and that creates an issue right here where it needs a spacer to clear this. As you can see here, the upper portion of the radiator is on this side of the core support and the lower portion is on the other side of this edge right here. So as you can see, if the fan overhangs the side, it's gonna impact down here, not allowing me to mount it flush. My thought process was to create a small spacer that was at an angle that would push the fan out off of the front of the radiator. That way it could sit flush and wouldn't touch the core support on the side. The only issue is I have very limited room to work right there because I start getting closer to the engine. However, that spacer is really only needed down here on this corner. Anyone that's ever fabricated anything before would know that that is absolutely ridiculous to try to make a circular spacer that is literally like a quarter of an inch thin to fit inside this area. And for those of you out there that understand how cooling fans work, if you have any air gaps around the edges of this fan where it can bypass, it's essentially useless to even have a cooling fan at all.
Before I get too far ahead of myself, I completely forgot that I was working on those heater core lines.
No. Okay, next hose.
And even though the hardest part is finished now, I might as well finish those up before I start cutting shapes out.
There, just like factory. Play my favorite game of what can I cut with that's not a knife. As many of you already know, my shop air compressor is not the biggest, and it's all I have. So how am I gonna see this stuff? I'm gonna have to make a template. Shapes. Shapes. The ultimate Sharpie test. Will it draw on adhesive? That's amazing. Air compressor's doing great. One problem solved. Second problem I have to address. My fan shroud needs some extra material right here now to cover that up. Hopefully I don't have to do this too many more times. I think it's gonna work. The back of the fan motor used to be like a millimeter away from that pulley. Now I got a mile of room. So looking from the front of the car, you can now see the side of the fan blades protruding over the edge of the radiator and the fan shroud. That's just gonna need a wider fan shroud and that problem will be solved. It's a duck call, not a saw. How's that saying go? If it fits, it shits. In that case, this is no longer constipated. Mission accomplished. I didn't erase a lot of stuff, but what I did do is make it easier to erase a lot of stuff in the next video. The next video I do on this thing, hopefully the spaceship fabricator will be here to make the intake tube to go to the airbox and do a little bit of a modification on the exhaust going over the axle so it clears a bit better. And the only thing left to fabricate is to make a new shroud for the cooling fans so that way the little gap on the side is covered. And of course the two little brackets I need to mount the oil cooler. That's the only thing that's keeping this thing from starting. So I should be able to get that all wrapped up in the next video. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to unless I run into any weird issues. But thank you guys for watching and I'll see you soon with another. Bye.